There we go. Sorry, everybody. I was trying to get some location down because I want to screen share the area tonight. I have Lisa here with us. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good Monday night.
I'm all right. Well, I'm as good as I can be.
I know. But we're making progress. We're getting there. It's you are the reason a lot of people are speaking out. I really believe that. And, like I told you from the beginning, they may be able to silence maybe one or two of you, but we get a whole thing going here. They can't silence y'all.
You can't silence an army, and a bunch of mothers together. It's going to be hard to beat them because they're strong. We bring out the best in each other. We bring out the strength, the courage. Uh, it's hard to silence a hurt mother.
I am. I just want to,
Strength,
if you're
the
okay,
courage.
where'd we go? Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I'm trying to share into your page right now, and I didn't want it to. I was getting confused by the echo on, on when you were talking.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we get it shared in there because I know there was a lot of people. There was a wanted to. There we go. And that's the very first place I just want to get it shared to. Everywhere else I really don't care too much right now. But I definitely want to get it shared into Aaron's group real fast. I appreciate you being here. You're very brave. And as families start to come and speak out, and friends, and people who loved these people, um, they say, I believe it's because of you. I really do.
No, it's because of Aaron.
Yeah, yeah. But it's because you're brave enough to speak for him.
Uh,
I believe that.
ah, that's what moms do.
And they're very afraid, and they see what you're up against alone, and they see what you can very well be afraid of, and it gives people courage.
Well, the at the end of the day, you bring a child into the world, you take care of it, you raise it, and you teach it right from wrong, and you think that that child's gonna one day lay you to rest. Parents never dream
Oh
of
no.
having to lay their own child down, and there's nothing like it. And then when you have the pain compounded intentionally, uh, the pain is, it's somewhere deeper because it's like they're just throwing yours away. And
Yeah.
when we come into this group, there, excuse me, there's, I never dreamed that it could be as bad as it is. I knew there's a little bit wrong. I didn't realize that it could be so many. Uh,
So
it's
many.
yes, and you know, people contacted me in Aaron's group, and they would tell me what they went through. But I realized, I didn't realize that these people were afraid.
Oh yes.
And living, I'm not one. I'm not going to live in fear. If they come get me, they come get me. If it's my time, I'm going to go. If it's not my time, they can't take me. And at the end of the day, you're your child's voice. I don't care if it's a child that's
Absolutely.
5 months old, 5 years old.
Absolutely.
You're a mother from the
Hmm.
time you become a mother. till you to the grave. You're always going to be a mother. And you
I
know,
can I can imagine losing a child has to be the most unnatural, just
it
that
is.
unnatural feeling. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
Well,
My
I've
heart breaks for
always
you.
tried to look for the best in everybody. Uh, but and up until Aaron got killed, I did. I always believed there was good somewhere in everybody. Uh,
Because you want
but
to. I do, even I live by anything could happen. I don't call it, just my personal, whatever, but it's still hard to it's 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 just never anything anybody wants to take their mind to.
yeah,
And
well, you can sit and think about it all day long. Imagine what it might be like. It don't even mean, I done that with my father. He was a truck driver,
yeah.
and when he got killed, that no, it wasn't even close.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I
Absolutely
mean,
not.
you can sit and you can think about it, but it ain't nothing like living it. Not even
Yeah.
close. But I just, I believe, I believe that if all these victims of these families will unite, tell their stories, and stand together, I honestly believe in my heart we can make a difference for future generations. I mean, because, the world around us, especially in the U.S. right now, we're, people my age, I'm 63, we're seeing things that I've never seen in my generation. I've never seen them try to take rights from people, trying to force people to do things that they don't want to do. They're instinctively against. And anybody that makes a choice, a personal choice, I respect it.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I expect the same. But all the it's crazy. But if this group, this bunch of people in this district don't somehow slow this or change it, the future generations of that district, I'd be afraid to even think about what they would face. I just, I would love to see it be back like it was when I grew up. Uh, I don't know that it could ever be that way again, but I know people loved each other. Counties, those counties up in there. I can remember when the bad tornado come through and hit Livingston. I mean, there was a huge outreach from the counties all around Overton County. And, it makes me sit and smile about thinking back how people really were. And now people say inside their homes, they don't see what's going on out there, especially what's right under their noses. And, you know, awareness,
Is everything.
it is.
And
People
that's what I want to say, when I started looking up Aaron, when I first started the page, Lisa was my first spotlight family too. She was the first person that trusted me and gave me a chance. And she was also the one that kind of brought me into, I asked her before I ever knew about this group, before I ever knew about anybody else. I said, he can't be the only one. And that's when she kind of let me in.
no, I mean, like I said, I've got, I can sit and I could go through and find so many more that haven't stepped up to even talk yet.
They are so scared. Even the people that have, they are very, very scared.
Yes,
And
they are.
it's not without understanding, but it's about finding the support and feeling like you can stand together and
Right. Well, the big thing is people have to realize, they're there's all, for every action, there's always a reaction. But, I fought for 26 months alone. Uh, the only way I knew how. Talked to every news agency in Tennessee. They weren't willing to mess with it. And I didn't understand why. Uh, until one reporter asked me about it. And she asked me if I'd tell her story. I said, I'll tell it to you. I said, but I'm betting you money it don't never air. She
Mm.
said, why? I said, because they won't let you air it. And because I'd had a reporter tell me straight that there was money being paid to keep most anything negative out of the 13th district out of the news, especially Aaron's case.
Yeah.
So, I might as well, I basically, after that point, I just, the news stations, it was a waste of time. I had to find another way to work at it. And Chasing Justice, uh, run across, I'd posted, I can't even remember where it was at, and she run across it and
And
took
she is
pictures.
who I found when my former partner, and said, "Hey, you should reach out and you should talk to Lisa. This is Lisa." And when I started to go on and see what I could find about Erin, that's who I found. She was is she the first person that you talked to?
Well, no,
Like on a
I'm trying.
podcast out in public like that?
The first one, uh, I think he's out of Ohio. Mark, Catch My Killer, done a podcast on it,
Okay. Well,
and then
I'll have to check it out.
Ryan O'Neill out of Atlanta, Georgia, done well, I done a radio an interview on the radio with him one morning.
Okay.
And then Chasing Justice came, and uh then you guys came along, and people have lives. Chasing Justice, going to school,
Yeah.
and she's done good for me. Love her to death, become friends with her. Uh, through all of it, especially with the Summer Wells case, a lot of the podcasters, it's turned into a
I have
fiasco.
I have, and I've had some people um sorry, somebody has some questions they want to air, but there's for some reason they're not being, Jen, I see Jen is commenting fine. But I have somebody that has told me earlier they had questions written down to ask you, and for some reason when they're on the YouTube, can nobody comment? Jen is a mod, so I know she can comment. Can nobody else comment? There should be a live chat. Like I'm on a laptop, so I'm not sure when you're on a phone. Jen, are you on a phone? Because there she
Yeah,
is. She figured it out. Okay, okay. Because I know you had some questions you wanted to answer. There she is. Okay, they're popping in now. I see
okay.
them. There we go. Lisa, can you see the comments coming in too?
Well, now I'm on a phone, so if maybe I can see if I can pull them up a little larger.
If not, I can make sure that we can catch them and pull them
What
up
Aaron?
on screen.
Oh, what Aaron was like? Yeah, she said, what was Aaron like as a person? Oh goodness. He was a good-hearted person. He'd always had a good heart. Always had a mischievous side, even when he was very, very small. Uh, Great respect for his elders. Babies he loved, and animals. Many of his photos you could see of him and Floki, or him with children. He loved kids. He did
How
uh
many, how many
take.
children does Aaron have?
He has two.
Okay, so he has to himself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but his brother's kids, his sister's kids. He just worshipped these kids, and he was just he's a good worker, and you could show him how to do anything one time, and he'd take it and run with it. There wasn't nothing he couldn't do. Artist, oh my God. I drew a horse for him one time in second grade. I never had to draw anything for him again. He could just pick up anything. He had started doing tattoos, a lot of tattoo shops, bought some of his drawings. It was just, there was no end to the talents that he had. I mean, be it from working on a car, painting, uh, he could do anything he wanted to. He was just intelligent, great basketball player. Me and him enjoyed basketball together. He wasn't perfect by any means. He
No.
drank some, and for a long time he had a lot of problems with his drinking, and he hadn't quit when he passed, but he didn't drink to get drunk anymore. He'd finally come through it, and I was so proud that he had. And he'd do anything for any of his family. He'd die for them, and in this mess somewhere, he may have actually died to save one of them. She'll never have the guts to stand up and say it, but I know what happened, and she's got to pay for it in the end. She, we all got to meet our maker, but
I
just
mean, it's
just a
just hard to
big.
believe what Aaron, for the people um that are just new and joining in. What was the at least the account that Aaron's girlfriend gave at the time?
uh she said him and her had been in the house at, after his dad dropped him off, and now this is what I heard from the police interview, that they got into it. He smacked her. She flew across a couch and hit a table, scratched the side of her face. Then he grabbed her by the hand, took her outside, told her, "Here, you're going to watch this," and hung himself.
I just
Uh, she said that when he swung out, she caught him, swung him back over to where he stepped off of and got his foot hung, but then he swung back out and she couldn't get him swung back in. But and
Alyssa
this is what
wants.
the detective told me. But come to find out, there wasn't a lot of truth in a lot of things that he told me.
How long did it take you first to suspect that Aaron's death was a homicide?
Oh, let's see. This happened on the 5th. Uh, I got up on Monday night. I believe would have been, say, 5th Friday. I believe that was the 9th. 10 o'clock on Monday night, I got there. Of course, I talked to his dad, and I got a couple of phone calls that night. And of course, I was upset, and I really didn't want to pay a lot of attention to it because I know how small town rumors are.
Oh yeah.
And but when we got up Tuesday morning to go to the funeral home, uh, I wasn't expecting what I walked into by any means. At that point, I believed Aaron had hung himself when I was picking his casket and stuff out. His dad was with me, and his first cousin. They went out to smoke, and I was standing from the bombing room from the hallway, and I asked if he was in there. They said yes, and I said, "Can I see him?" And and they let me in. The lights were real bright, and Mm. I wasn't, he had been bathed at that point. But when I saw his face, uh, I'd never heard of anybody being face being damaged to the extent his was from hanging themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there should be not to the face.
No. I looked at his neck and I looked. There were things, he always had a cowlick in his hair. I couldn't find the cowlick. But the damage was absolutely incredible. But when I left there, the only way I knew he was mine was a tattoo. His left hand was laying on top of the sheet,
Mm.
and he had a tattoo on his ring finger. That's how I recognized him. Uh, his his nose is broke. He had a cut from between his eyebrows to his eyelid. His eyeball was deflated. His uh, his right earlobe was ripped out. I mean, the bruising on his face was massive around his mouth, but there wasn't no marks on his neck. And I'm thinking, you got 245-pound man,
Yeah.
6'6", step off of something right at 3 feet in the air, but there's no marks.
Mm-mm.
And I was down, looking. There was no marks behind his ears. Uh, and there was no upside down V that there's always is at the back of the neck and hanging. There wasn't one. So at that point, I'd moved from knowing he had hung himself to knowing nobody could sustain that much trauma just from a hanging and with no marks. And he had a mark across his forehead that went all the way across above his eyebrows that I still can't explain and nobody can explain. The only thing I can think of was maybe he was hit right
Yeah.
across there.
Yeah.
But then that's when I knew that he hadn't done it for sure. Of course, he had some indications and
Well,
told
even
me,
when you question it, what did they tell you? Didn't they say some puppies were the reason
oh
why
yeah,
his face was so damaged?
2 week old
There
puppies
we go.
supposedly done the damage. And yes, I see the picture there showing the rope. He
I
couldn't
just
have.
wanted. Mhm.
It's just if you look at it, if you look at that rope, if you zoom up in on that knot, you can see that knot's never even tightened up around the beam. This is actually a better angle of it to look at. And his weight would have dug into that beam. Uh, she said he was pushing her off with his feet and hands in her interview, and his neck should have been tore all to pieces because
Yeah.
your neck is the skin on your neck's very very tender.
In my opinion, I don't think any of that scenario
No, it
went
didn't.
down. I mean, you're just alone. He didn't break his neck, right?
No, no, he did. That's just it. Anything that goes along
Yeah,
with
she would have.
hanging,
I
he
can't
didn't have it.
imagine.
He had he didn't the hyoid bone, it was intact. He didn't have a tiki eye. His neck wasn't broke. His tongue wasn't swollen. Uh
His
I
hat
mean,
was his hat was found at
yeah,
one
his
of the
hat
they
was
did
left.
they
It
were
was
there
left.
for 8 hours and never found his hat. Lisa has his hat, right?
Yes, ma'am, I have his hat. I actually have the upper portion of that rope that was left hanging there till Sunday night. A friend of mine, Sunday morning, which would have been the 8th, she had got in from Florida and went down there to see what happened, and she found the rope was still hanging. So she had her brother take it down, and they put it in a bag, brought it in a liquor bottle to me. Uh, Another thing that I can't air exactly what it is, but when I went out there on Tuesday morning after I'd been to the funeral home, I went straight out there from the funeral home, and that's when I found the hat.
Yeah.
Who performed the autopsy? Uh, uh,
If you
Thomas.
don't have to answer anything that you don't want to,
Oh,
you just don't
I
care.
haven't got any
Leisure.
problem.
Okay.
Thomas Deering signed off on it. He has impeccable credentials. I've never disputed his credentials. My problem is in the program they have. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, yanking
What do you mean, Jen?
could. That's a good point. Never thought about that. Jen said, "Think if they'd have jerked him backwards with his hat, that could have caused the mark across his forehead."
Oh.
That,
Did he wear his hat backward?
oh, he always wore his hat.
Okay. Yeah.
Aaron, he always, and he kept his hair cut short because of that cowlick. He had blonde curly hair. Uh, that's a good point. And what is the autopsy process like there?
Did they give you any problems trying to see her before you answer that? They let you see him, but did they advise you not to or tried to persuade you not to?
No, the funeral director, the man that embalmed him, was taking care of him. He was really, really nice.
Okay.
I can't say enough about Upper Cumberland Funeral Home because we didn't have a penny, and there wasn't no way in hell I was in cremating my son.
Yeah.
People want
I
to do it. That's
understand that.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't
It's a
fault
great
them, but
deal.
I couldn't do that to mine.
Absolutely.
But the autopsy process in Tennessee, according to a program on MPT and PBS that aired, if you have a high school education or the equivalent of a high school education and do not have a felony, you can be a county medical examiner.
Yeah.
Okay. When a body is sent to the state medical examiner, a police officer will send like a preliminary little short note. This appears to be a homicide from blah blah blah, or a suicide or an accident. And when it gets to the state level, in Aaron's case, they ordered a full cranium autopsy, which means he's basically um, dissected, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Uh, but even though that was ordered, I never could find. Okay,
No,
are you there?
I'm gonna pop
Okay,
here now.
okay. We couldn't find where his head had actually been taken apart, and we looked. But anyway, on back to the medical examiner. When it gets to the state level, they have. It's much like a high school test you would take. That's multiple choice. It's got four answers. And it'll ask the question, then you've got four answers. Well, if none of the four answers match, then they pick a word or word phrase, even if it doesn't apply, even if it's not the correct answer. That's how they pick their answer. And if, say, for instance, they get a third of the way through the autopsy and they say, well, we're just going to go along with what the county said,
Yeah.
then that's where it stops. And in Aaron's case, they pointed out to me that his dad was interviewed at the scene. And course, his dad was distraught. He shouldn't have never been interviewed, but his interview was handwritten. I actually know the officer's name that wrote it. He's a young officer. Uh, his dad had asked him why they wasn't recording his statement like they were everybody else's, and he said they didn't have the equipment. But in the report, it said that the reason they went along with suicide was because of what his daddy had said.
What did he say?
His dad said that he was bipolar, and Aaron wasn't bipolar by any means. Aaron had, I don't know if it was diagnosed, but we believe it's ADHD.
Okay. I mean,
But
and
there,
there's lots of depression with that. That doesn't mean,
uh, was Thomas a county or state examiner? Thomas is a state medical examiner. But from what I could see on the autopsy, there were like 3 people that was part of performing it, and Mr. Deering is the one that signed off on it.
Jen, why would they order what? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with these
Or
questions,
would
guys. So they
they
might be a
order
little
that?
out of order.
Oh, they ordered,
Yeah.
you know, that's a good question. You know, maybe they suspected there was something that wasn't right, but I know when we got the report back, it left us with more questions than we had before
Mhm.
the autopsy, because his height, he was 6'6". They had his height at 6'2". His weight was 245. They had him at 208.
Wow,
They
yeah.
said he had emphysema, chronic emphysema, and a bad heart valve. It was like this autopsy was done on that it wasn't Aaron. It was like it was somebody else. And his broke nose wasn't listed on there. His broken right wrist not listed on there, or the cut on his eye, it wasn't listed. There was just a lot of things.
Oh yeah, I've read. There's a lot of things that were.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It just didn't. It's like I said, it was like they done it on somebody else.
Yeah.
So it left us with a lot of questions. I mean, and I don't know. I know we seen the crime scene photos. After we seen them, they were, but they clearly showed there were no rope marks on his neck. Is that not of Nashville? Yes, that was Nashville. It was performed at Nashville's medical examiner's office.
Yeah, that is a very very big weight discrepancy. Yeah.
It is, not to mention his height
Yeah.
too.
Which I feel like they wanted to make him seem shorter for some reason, and in reference to the rope and the height and the.
I believe they were just guessing, is what
You
I
think
believe.
so? Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just take a wild guess at it, because whether they're with him 15 minutes or whether they're with him 8 hours, they get paid the same.
Yeah, and I'm sure for a lot of them, they can't. I mean, even not the non-corrupt ones out there, a lot of police officers out there say sometimes you get kind of desensitized to it. Not that they don't care or anything like that. You kind of have to. They see so much and go through so much that they kind of have to not let their emotions get the best of them, I should say. And
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can understand that too, but in this case, I just believe that they just really didn't care.
Well, there's
Didn't care
like I said, there's a lot behind this. That
Mhm.
I can't put out there. I've put out a
Mhm.
lot of what I do know, but if the more I put out, the more they have the ability to cover up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
you know,
As much as you wanna get Aaron's word out there, there's still some things that you have to keep in order to.
exact. You always, it's a shame in life that you always have to have carry what I always call an ace in the hole.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
I can prove connections between at least 4 or 5 cases right now that's in that Tennessee's dark hole group. There are connections other than having the same DA being in the same district. There's a lot more
Yeah,
than
and that's what it's gonna take is proving those more of the connection there than just everybody being in this district, just
yes.
more than the fact that Dunaway is the district DA. There's got to be more than that. You can't just.
Now
I
the
mean, having all these
two.
cases in this area is suspicious as it is. Don't get me wrong; it's crazy, but
It is
it's got it. We got to show a bit more than that. Yeah.
the the two interactions I had with Dunaway. He spoke to me decently, although I had tried many, many times to get a hold of him, and never got a return call from him. Uh, the ADA under him now. I have nothing nice to say about him.
Mm-mm.
He shows no, if you he the way he spoke to me. Uh, I was told I didn't have a choice in accepting whatever he decided. Uh, why was Aaron wet? That's the $1 million question.
Yes. Yes.
We were told that he had tried to set his clothes on. They had taken all his clothes out to the shed in his suitcases. He was leaving. He was done with the girlfriend. He was done with the place and the people there. Uh, his everything in the suitcases were soaking wet. He was soaking wet. Everything that come back from the medical examiner was soaking wet. In the autopsy, in the crime scene photos, it showed smeared, dried blood on his face. You could
Mm.
see like where somebody had wiped his face off, like lines from the fingerprints. I believe it was where they were washing away evidence. I mean,
Oh yeah.
his pants were undone, his belt was undone. His shirt, he had on a white short sleeve T-shirt in the crime scene photos. He was laying in dirt. Uh, wasn't a spot of dirt on that white shirt. Uh, that wasn't the shirt his father. That wasn't what he was wearing when his dad dropped him off.
And it wasn't a clean shed area.
It was water. It was water. There were no accelerants around where they said he had tried to burn his clothes. There were no signs of it. Couldn't smell it. Uh, you couldn't smell urine or anything like that on his clothes. The boots were soaking wet too. When his dad dropped him off, he had on brown tennis shoes. When the crime scene photos, he was wearing lace-up snake biter boots that go to the knees. They were fully unlaced. And if that was a fact, Karen, where's there? No, if there was, I don't know. There was a pond near there. I think there's like a small creek way over in the back behind the house, maybe. Dry Fork Creek's the
Oh
name of it.
wow, we have. Yeah, about right there would be.
You're gonna have to go back out. Yeah, well, there at Dry Fork Creek, it shows where it sort of runs back there. Okay, but as
It's
far as clothes being wet,
yeah,
I believe they were washing away evidence.
yeah.
Is what I believe.
Yes, me too. So I just want to zoom in here for a second. I want to take the time. Okay. So we have, let me ask you this. Where did the LE and the EMS come from? I would assume Hillman right here, right? Or Hillman,
No,
right?
no, they actually come from Livingston. Hillham is an unincorporated area. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and there's only one, like a four-way stop in the middle of it. There was a store. There used to be see, there's a small post office. I mean, it's rural. So they would have had to come out of Livingston.
So we have Livingston over here. And then this is happening over around Turkey Town. Okay, so who got there? Or was Aaron's dad there when the EMS showed up? Who was there? Kind of who was there first after his dad
From
was killed? Because he was like right down the road, right?
they have, I believe they have a volunteer fire department in Hilltown, but the paramedics arrived before police did. From what I can find out, it was a little around 20 minutes before police got there.
So
But
when did Aaron's dad kind of arrive? Before
uh,
in the midst of all that.
within I don't know exactly. I just know his dad said he was there when the paramedic lady was there. She put the monitor on Aaron. He had a slow PEA. Then she got back in her truck and left. I have a problem with that. They
Yeah.
didn't try CPR, which
Yes.
usually is slow PEA. If people come back, they say there's problems, due to lack of oxygen and stuff. But one never knows. I mean, every case ain't the same. He might not have come back, depending on how long he'd been without oxygen to his brain. But everybody deserves that chance to come back.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this lady is notorious for not trying to bring the people back at drug houses or that do drugs. So to me, she's saying, well, the world's better off without
Exact,
them.
and that is absolutely not that is not her call, and her job is there to revive and give efforts and transport to, which is
Yeah.
crazy, crazy.
Well, I don't. I
Anybody in
bring,
this situation is like, I'm not a nurse or anything, but I was an STNA, CNA, home caregiver for many years, and your first response is to try, if you think there's a chance that somebody could be saved, it's to do that, to give all those efforts.
yes, I believe. It don't. Everybody deserves that chance because
That no matter who you are.
yeah, the will to survive. Whether you survive or not, a lot of time, I believe, depends on the person's. The person. I mean, injuries sometimes. From what I understand, Aaron was actually hit in the back of the head twice. Don't know the extent of what the injuries, you know, caused by that because there weren't any mentioned. Because from what I can see, the autopsy was probably never finished. Uh, I,
Exactly, Jen. Exactly.
uh,
It's just that if they arrive, they are live, that they transport immediately. They
no, they didn't transport him till nearly 3:30 in the morning. They would not let his father get near him. Uh, I don't. There's a lot. You wonder as a parent. You question everything. My thing is maybe they didn't want his dad to hold him, afraid he'd respond because he worshipped his father. He would have never tried to take his own life where his daddy could have found him. He wouldn't have done it. If,
the district attorney came out to Aaron's scene, right? Do you
yes, he
find
did.
that a little strange when you found that out?
Well, actually, I did. Actually, I learned that from the detective, sort of in passing. I didn't know up until a few weeks ago. The DA generally does not come out unless it's a murder, and
Mm.
there's something else, but they generally don't come out in suicide.
Yeah, which is yeah.
Yeah, and I found that hard to believe. Uh, there's just too much in this. I mean, they don't want us to have anything to do with the case unless I will agree to close it. But at first, I just thought it was part of protocol, but now they're more worried
I
about
don't think anything they did about that day was protocol. I don't think, I mean, I think if they did follow protocol, it would be such a shorter list on what they didn't follow.
it would.
Jeez, it's I'm sorry, Lisa. It's just very disgusting on how they handled that situation. I mean, if they want to say it was a suicide, then it took that what they were out there for 8 hours
Yeah, to figure. Yeah.
or more. Yeah, or yeah.
Well, my thing. I don't know how long the slow PEA. Did they just let him lay there and wait for him to expire? Till he died. I
Mm.
don't know. They left me with a lot of questions. Actually, anybody was there. Let's see if I can answer this question and hope it's what she wants to hear. I actually talked to Hack. I've actually talked to,
And
uh,
Hack's no longer here, though.
yeah, these these people. This house had been. Oh Lord, what I just did. This house had been a known drug house I know of since the late 70s.
I'm gonna
Uh,
just zoom in here for everybody to see
okay.
just what house we're talking about.
I've talked to, actually, it's going to be a form of hearsay. I believe it would be considered hearsay,
Yeah.
but it come from people that were close friends with all this bunch. Uh, Bought drugs from them or whatever. At first, most of these people involved, I have known since they were very young. When I got married, I was told to avoid this place.
I was gonna ask you to tell us a little about Turkey Town Road because if you look at it, it's very secluded and very out there, very spacey between everything. But it's
Yeah,
a very
it
good
is.
connected little road, isn't
Goodness.
it?
Connected is not the word for it. You
Yeah.
got the homeowner owned a lot of property out in there. They move around where they were manufacturing the stuff that the state representative said they weren't doing. They didn't do it in that district anymore, which he needs to pull out of his head out of his ass. Sorry. Uh, but that's the house they live in. The shed out next to it.
This one right here in the middle here.
Oh no, the next one over.
Okay.
That
Okay.
one is
Yeah.
where Aaron was supposedly that was where he was at. He is in the second bay. Uh,
And
these
see, and I
people,
just want to point out there, for the situation that, it's kind of very close together there
yes, it
for a
is
situation to be happening. And, like you said, Aaron did not, if what she says, which I complete think is complete bullshit, says happen, Aaron didn't break his neck. So she had ample amount of time to
exactly.
alert the situation. And she didn't.
Well, the
I mean,
thing
she
was,
did, but Aaron was already, according to her, Aaron was already gone at that time.
well, my thing is, she had to run. If you'll back out and go
Yep.
down the road just a little bit from this barn, you see that curve there? There's a trailer sets back to the other way.
Oh, right here, right here. Okay.
Yeah, there's a trailer that sits right in this area, right there. She went all the way down there, had the cell phone in her hand, and knocked on the door and said, "Here, you talk to him."
Is there not a working phone in Hack's house, the house?
Actually, there had been, because Aaron had called me from it several times, but I don't know if if it was still working at this time or not. I have no idea. I know back in, actually, I could probably look back at my phone record and find out. I hadn't thought about that, but then that's a long distance to be walking on foot. Karen is 5'3" or 4.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is a huge, yeah.
yeah, and if she stood there and was fighting front with him, trying to put him back and stuff, push him back or hold up on him. I was told she would actually pull down on him. But if she pulled down on him there again, there'd be some real bad marks on his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see, none of it
None of
adds
it
up.
makes sense. You have a
But
house right here.
these
You
people,
have, well, okay, let me say this. So for her to walk, for there was confirmed, to be more than just one person there. It was not just Aaron and his girlfriend, or yeah, Aaron and the girlfriend. It was
no, yeah,
more people there.
that's what I was told.
So there would be no reason for her to walk all that way.
No, and she had a cell phone in her hand. The girl
Yeah,
Hannah called, was the cell phone,
it
called
makes
the cell phone Karen had. So, yeah.
it's just hard to take in. It's
Yeah,
just
and
it,
then
it
when
didn't
we
happen.
when we listen to the 911 reports, the calls, you can hear Hannah saying, "There's 5 of them up there fighting."
Which the first story they tried to say was there it was only two of them two.
Yeah, up until we got to hear and look at what they had, up until that point, we believed only Aaron and Karen were there. But the call, and that's what I'd been told the whole time. And no, the police never, ever called me. I had to call them. I have recorded phone calls. I have every text message that flowed between me and that detective.
Wow.
Every one of them. And when I kept trying to help them. When somebody would give me information, I'd give it to
Of
him.
course.
And when I got to look at their stuff, there was an 80-page report. 40 pages of that report were mine and his text messages. Yeah, 40 pages. I told him where to get my son's cell phone at. My son's first cousin ended up with it. She destroyed it. And the detective all the time is saying, "Well, we can't catch her at home." I had somebody watching her 24/7. They never tried to find her. And the detective, when they interviewed Hack, which was not until actually on June the 2nd in a recorded video call.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, but Mr. Sidwell was standing there, and he didn't call. He called Vicky. Well, I shouldn't have said that. He called her Vic,
Mm-hmm.
like they were close. And all they could talk about was being afraid of the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, I don't know. I don't. Aaron he never said he was Aryan Brotherhood, and I know he'd never been to the penitentiary. But the Aryan Brotherhood started flying after he died. I can't. I know you're supposed to go to the pen to get initiated into that stuff. Aaron had never been to the pen.
Mm, I see. So do you believe there's any base to that at all?
If Aaron had been Aryan Brotherhood, they ain't none of that bunch would still be alive.
Mm.
I've read enough since then. I can tell you, Aaron didn't have the Brotherhood patch. He didn't have none of that.
None of it. Yeah.
So, yeah, Arian, they would have took care of this. I wouldn't be sitting here wanting a bunch arrested, uh, if, they were involved. I mean, I don't feel they were, I think that was just something they basically threw out there.
Now we had Caitlin's sister on here the other night, and
Right.
she is another a missing case on Turkey Town Road.
Yes.
And shortly after, a few months, the house that she was last seen in uh, burned down, and
Oh,
the dad's girlfriend was inside.
well, now this, I don't know. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed that it was Dad's girlfriend. I don't know that. I guess a body had
They,
to talk to the girl's mother. I believe her family, Caitlin's family, believes it was the girlfriend Crystal. But as far as anything released by the TBI or anything, I've never heard that it was
which
released who
is
it was.
crazy.
But I can tell you that house, I have a
Just
friend that lives there, and I know the fire department would put that house out. They went back out 2 more times, to put it out, and it had been raining for days up there. So I have people there on Turkey Town that talk to me, and I know pretty much well what's going on. They, uh, but the house burnt to where there was
nothing. Yeah.
nothing, nothing.
And from what I know it was somewhere around this area, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty close. I think it's back this way a little bit, where it starts clearing right there, maybe a little right there in the early part of the trees. The land over behind it there is Susie Masters' property.
Um,
Used to be. That looks like it right there because it's, yeah.
mhm.
I mean, it's like it never was there. And I think you
And
said this is a 22 satellite view.
yeah, down there, yeah, it says it was map dated 2022.
Well, and
So and
see that,
then
I believe that burnt back in August or September,
yeah,
maybe somewhere, October, somewhere like that, last fall.
and there's been a
Beautiful
few
country. It
other.
sure is deceiving.
So we got Caitlin down here around this opening here, right on the edge there, down by 85, a little closer. Then we have Aaron up
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and
So
I
I mean,
just show how close they were.
it wasn't far. It wasn't far at
Really
all.
think about it, no.
Uh,
And this
but,
family that lives in this house is a very well-known family, right? They've been around
uh,
for a
oh,
long
the Coxes.
time.
Oh yes. Like I said, they've been around selling, wheeling, dealing that shit since late 70s. How much space was from the part of the road that was cut to the ground? Now, how much space was from uh the rope the portion I have is 47 inches long. Where he hung at is roughly 16 feet to the ground.
Let me get rid of this.
Uh,
Just,
so what he had around his neck,
I'm trying to find
maximum
that right.
maybe 22, 24 inches. You're talking in all 6 or 7 feet, I guess. 70, about 71, 72 inches, the overall length of all of it together. So, but what I have is 47 inches.
And I have a picture of the one. I'm sorry, I was trying to find it for you here. I have a
Okay.
picture of the portion you have, right?
Yep, that's it. It's always been the one. That's the only time it's been handled since it's put in the bag. It had was handled with
Yeah, and
gloves.
you can see, even the person in the picture has gloves on, and you could tell you've handled it with so much care,
Yeah.
understandably. Now, why did you keep why do you feel that portion of the rope is so important in the versus the top, for the
Well,
portion that they
I
took?
believe I have my own theory of why it was left. While all the stuff that I have was left at the scene, I believe that they know Aaron's DNA isn't on the upper portion of that rope.
Hmm.
And it's going to be on the bottom portion because it was it was laying around his neck, way down his chest. CPR was never performed on him. Crime scene photos show the rope. The rope should have been shown taut around his neck. It wasn't. It was hanging like way down. I don't know, about 5 inches past his collarbone. Uh, I believe they intended to hang him, but you got 245 pounds of dead
He's
weight.
a big guy.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of people to handle him. And that size, these people were not great big people. None of them, maybe my height. I'm 5'9". Well, 5'8 3/4. Uh, I just don't think that, with the drug use, everybody there were drug users. They were drinkers. Uh, I just don't believe they had the physical strength to get him up. They thought they could, and I just don't think they could ever get him up. And if you'll notice how much that rope is unraveled, that rope shouldn't have unraveled that much because they're waxed. Most of them are got a certain amount of wax on them. Uh, everybody I've talked to says it's impossible for him to have been able to done it. Uh, I
I
know
just,
in my heart he didn't.
yeah.
What is this?
I'm just posting it's, a list of what she said happened, which I think is bullshit. The fact that there was, and then they initially, didn't they say, there was some kind of party also, and they kind of found him it wasn't that one of the
Oh,
stories that were given?
well, uh, all through this, I filed an FOIA report. Uh, a lady called me from the executive office in Overton County and asked if I'd asked for it. Sure, I did. And she said, well, I can't let you have it because you won't agree to close the case. I said, no, I won't. And she said, TBI has the case now. I said, okay. So that was, she explained to me she worked for him one day a week. And she'd give me her name. And I hung up. It was late in the day. And I don't know. I just, I'd had people jerk me around. So I called the next morning, confirmed that a lady had called from there. And so I turned around and I called TBI. Uh, wasn't but a little while. Uh, a TBI agent called me back from Chattanooga, which is the people that handle that district up there. It's not. Oh, well, I'm not gonna mention his name. Uh, I asked him if he had Aaron's case. He checked the computers and checked everywhere he could, and he says TBI doesn't have that case. And uh, he talked on. He said, "Is this the case involving the puppies?" I
Oh,
said, "Yes." And we talked. We talked for a minute, and he said, "Well," he said, "I remember that." He said, "The district attorney for the district called us and asked us to come in and work the case." And he said, "By the time we got there, they met us and told us that it was, that they had been a big party, and they all come out and found him,
oh.
and that puppies had done all that damage to his face. 2-week-old puppies." He said, "I thought it was a little strange." And
Well, even in the report, it said that they said puppies kept on going in and out. And you would think that if that was the case, I mean, I don't know any officers out
Well,
there. If you had
they
a dog
didn't.
going in, wouldn't you put them dogs up in the first place? Not, I mean, not let them keep coming in and out of there. It doesn't make
Well,
sense because it didn't happen.
no, well, see, if they had secured the scene as they were supposed to, then puppies would have
Yeah,
been able to have done that.
that's what I'm saying.
But, I saw the puppies the morning I went up there. Puppies cannot do blunt force mass trauma.
No.
No. Uh, their little toenails are sharp and their little teeth are sharp. Well, they really haven't got many teeth at that age. Eyes are, possibly open to not open, they just couldn't have done they couldn't have broke his nose, couldn't have caused no 4.5-inch cut through his eyelid. But the TBI agent, he spent quite a bit of time. They were told that their services were no longer needed, that they had wrapped up everything. After they had drove 3 hours to do the investigation. I mean, they was basically told, I'm not sure I'm not even sure they ever let him get out of the vehicle. So, I believe initially they were going at it as it was a murder, but I believe after they found out who all was involved or how many, that's when it changed. And I will say that that's my pretty new perspective about it, because I've talked to a few more that's heard them say that the district can't afford murder trials. And in Aaron's case, I know there was at least 5 that physically touched him. And then we've got the other ones that stood and watched and didn't try to stop it.
And those are the people that I speak to, because you should come speak. You should be speaking out. I know they're scared, but
well,
you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I do believe that there are some people there that had no idea, they had no idea what was going to go down. Maybe
I don't think
still
that
there.
I don't think that all of them knew.
Yeah.
But the cleaner is one of Aaron's cousins.
Oh yeah.
And she had 2 phone calls while she was cleaning the blood up. She actually told one of them that it was Aaron's blood she was cleaning up, and she had to get it cleaned up before the law got there. The only thing is been off about what I've said is the time frame, because what I can find out, their actual call when it come in, the 911 call, was at 5:54 or 5:58 p.m. And his dad had dropped him off roughly somewhere around 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
He said it was getting toward dark, and it's April the 5th, so it's still a little cool out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that initially we were told Aaron left around 1 o'clock. But I found out now that it was just a little after 3. Why?
Which is crazy. You're right.
Why do you leave a body laying on the ground uncovered for that amount of time? I don't get it. I don't understand that. Are they waiting for something to dissipate? I don't, waiting. I know I had initially thought that alcohol deteriorates in the body as it does like if you're alive, but actually it increases some, but it's not a lot. What parts of the autopsy different than what you physically saw when you viewed Aaron?
No.
Okay, the autopsy report didn't reveal the broken nose. It didn't reveal the broken right wrist. It didn't call the cut on his eye. When I saw him, the meat on his eye was just where the cut through his eyelid and everything. It just folded down on his cheek. Uh, the eyeball was deflated. There was extremely a lot of bruising on his face. The mark on his forehead wasn't mentioned. Uh, I think the autopsy report listed abrasions, scratches and abrasions around his mouth. Uh,
Now,
there
just
was
to
just a
say,
lot of things that didn't.
I
Yeah, I mean,
I viewed and I hate to say this, excuse me, I gotta plug in my charger before it dies. Everybody knows I love to forget to do that. Um, I just want to say that, I have seen Aaron, you have a photo of him where he was in his casket. And they did a really good job. First of all, I want to say that, you can't really see it, but if you really look at it, you can see that damage to the eye there.
yeah, yeah.
So
They
to
when
very
they
there
left
shouldn't
it.
be on a hanging. I just want to put that out there. There shouldn't
No,
be.
well, see, they didn't even have to use makeup on his neck.
Yeah.
Uh, his neck had no damage to it. The autopsy report did say that there was one faint purplish mark. It's like around his Adam's apple. Now
Which
we could,
when I first see, and you told me and we talked, that the first thing that said to me was, well, somebody was trying to strangle him.
yes, that could have been done from behind.
Because that wouldn't be, if he was hanging, it would be up more around right under his jawline.
Yeah, yeah. But now in the report, there was things, after we got the report, it took 6 months to get it. Uh, you know, it says there's faint marks around his jawline. I do believe I may be wrong, but we couldn't see them. The mortician couldn't
Yeah, but
find
you
them.
got to think if somebody was even, he's a big guy. He's not just going to let somebody sit there and strangle. He was probably moving.
No, no.
Mm-hmm.
But
But still, that blue line, it should have been. It's just not in the right area for hanging.
no, no. Well, the thing is, uh, the iron size is one of the biggest things in all of this. Here's sheer weight, dead weight dropping from that beam. Should have tightened that rope on that beam. It should have cinched the knot up. And you can look clearly at those pictures. It never did tighten up. And the thing about I remember in the crime scene photos is there were no pictures of the upper portion of the rope. None in crime scene photos.
Oh, really?
If they've got them, they never showed them to us, or they took some more one. Because there was three of us went in there and looked at all of it, and with a broken right wrist, Aaron was right-handed. You can see you'd have to climb up that pole. You'd have to hang on with the left hand and reach out a long way to tie that knot. And it's just not possible.
No.
And okay, what advice do you give other families go through similar situations? Start asking questions the day it happens. Because the longer the time is before you start asking questions, the more down pat they're going to have their stories. I mean, ask them out from day one. I started asking, but I had faith in law enforcement. I believed in them 100%.
Of course you want to.
I mean, I was taught to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And the good officers out there, I commend them because I know they're not paid like they should be, which is a big problem when you got people that's playing both sides of the law. Because, everybody wants nice stuff. And I get that. And, you're going to have these people that have money come along and say, well, you do this and just drop this ticket. Well, when you start doing that one time, and if anybody finds out about it, that's something to be held over your head. Your integrity is automatically challenged.
Yeah.
And when you get these small town places, it's go along to get along. And what I found out in this district, this stuff is handed down from one sheriff to the next, from one district attorney to the next. And what you end up with a lot of people in powerful positions that think they're above the law. Hell, when you stand up in the court of law and tell somebody that you ain't got nobody above you, that you can do anything you want, your ass needs replaced.
Yeah. You cannot
Because I
think.
mean, you're talking about people that have went to school, they know the law, they want to stand up in a court of law and support law. They defend their clients. Clients up there are being defended because there's a man calling the shots. They're all doing what one person says. There's two girls sitting up there in jail that never had a bond reduction hearing. And they're trying to put these girls away. I mean, 15 years. They're young women. But they don't even have a bond. Well, I don't know if they do or not. I think it was real high, but they never did have a bond reduction hearing. There's a lot of court appearances. They never were brought in. I know of the state had 5 or 6 continuances on these two. I mean, their Sixth Amendment right was violated. You have a right to a speedy trial. And these girls haven't got it. So, I mean, a lot of people get charged with things they didn't do and railroaded into pleading, or there'll be more charges.
Yeah.
And what I found out is the higher the conviction rate, when you have cases that's not on the docket, that's cleared up, totally solved, and you don't have none that's open and pending, waiting to be heard, like a murder case, or say with 5 murder cases on the same one, you get higher federal funding. But if they're not using the federal funding to investigate the cases, to try the cases, exactly where is that funding going? People,
Exactly.
I mean, my thing is awareness. There's nothing I can do to bring my son back, but I can move heaven and earth and stomp and raise hell till people open their eyes and look at what's going on around them. If I save one life, if my son's life saves one life, then he didn't die in vain.
No.
And there's too many victims in that area, too many supposed suicides, that most people is just open and shut. And the people up there, most of them take it because they're afraid to raise Cain.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron's daddy told him before I got there, he said, when that boy's mama gets here, he said, you ain't seen no hell like they're going to be. And, I gave birth to him. God, the pain, and he was 2 feet long. Lord have mercy. But that pain ain't nothing like having to bury him. When you have to give them back to God, and then they're tossed away like they're nothing. The pain, it hits a place that's indescribable. Because police officers may look at it. Aaron drank. He had done drugs. Drugs never gave Aaron what he needed, and he had started. He'd come through his darkness. He was done with Karen. He had a savior complex. He couldn't say. You can't save people from themselves. And he is finally, I can't win this, and I'm just going to go on. But Aaron knew so much. He had told me so much. Uh, he told me, Mama, something happens, and give me the detective's name. He said, call him at Overton County Sheriff's Department, and he'll tell you everything. And I'd talked to the officer off and on after Aaron's funeral, and I'd saved a question. And when I met him face to face, I asked him. He just smiled real big and never said yes or never said no. But he gave me the answer I needed. Aaron wasn't a paid CI. Aaron had been asked to monitor the sales of the place, how much is going in, going out on that one place. That was it. And he was trying to help his cousin that had got a manufacturing charge, and the detective did tell me, in fact, she had got one about 14 months prior. She'd been in a lot of stuff. Popped a couple of times out of state, and Aaron would have done anything for her or any of his family. When he was approached to kidnap kidnap young girls out of Nashville, 9 or 10 years old.
I was going to ask you where that was.
He asked me, he said, Mama, what do I do? I said, call the law. Because my thing is, call the law. You have to protect the kids.
Yeah.
And he said, Mama, one of them is the law. And, I knew at that point, and that was 8 days before he died. I knew he was in something bad, and I begged him. I said, son, pack your stuff and leave. He said, Mama, they won't let me. I said, who won't let you? He said, the cops. He left the same message, if something happened, to tell his mom and daddy. He didn't do it. With a friend, actually, as a guy, I babysat it. I babysat when he was a child. He trusted him well enough to get that message to me. And, but within 9 days of him dying, I knew everybody that was there, pretty much everything that happened. And the cops could have knew that too if they wanted to.
Oh, for sure.
If
you can figure this much out.
Yeah. I had a friend that was an officer, another county, had worked at Overton County. He went up and tried to see what was going on, and they threatened his job in Jackson County. And I told him, I said, man, don't blow your retirement or anything like that. I said, he didn't like very much being retired. I said, you don't need to lose none of that. My thing, I don't want nobody else hurt, but the body count keeps piling up. Chasing, I love you too, sweetheart. The body count keeps piling up. I mean, there's 3. I ain't got the names yet that died on Benton Tidwell Lane out on Turkey Town. All 3 of them hung. 2 men, 1 woman. I ain't got the names yet, but I will. I want to know just how damn high that body count's got to go before they do something. You got Courtney Cash. You've got Parker Morrison missing, Caitlin missing, Joshua Bohannon missing. How many fucking people has to be gone before they fucking do something? How many does it take to make that one man say enough's enough? I'm sorry for my language.
No, don't be, because I talk to a lot of families and they say the same thing that you do, Lisa, is they've had enough.
And what's so bad is there is so many in that district. I ain't got a clue this is going on. They're sex trafficking your kids. It can be anybody's kids. It could be Caitlin. It could be Josh. People don't realize, I mean, Summer Wales, she could be sex trafficked. You know, her dad's got a history. It's all over East Tennessee.
You know, I don't want to name any names and I don't want to bring it up too much, but we just had a story come in tonight in the group about a mother fighting for a predator,
Yeah,
and it's very real, very
it,
very
it, it
real.
is. It's more real. People, you know, with Aaron, they knew we didn't have the money to fight them. They knew it. Actually, I don't know if it was her idea, his idea, or the detective's idea. Let her call the funeral home and tried to have Aaron cremated. You cremate them, they ain't no evidence.
Mm,
I've had messages sent to me about them trying to steal his body where I could never have a second autopsy. They
okay,
know that second autopsy will prove every word I'm saying.
and that's exactly what you want to
That's
do.
all I want. That's all I want. But I don't want Tennessee not touching him.
Mm-mm.
They had their chance to call it right. I mean, the process is what it is, but it's a process, a program that's set up to be abused. Uh, and the people in that district, you know, you got people coming in and out of there. Why in the world would some wealthy person move from Florida, from Miami into Cookeville, Tennessee? Please tell me. It don't make no sense. I mean, you can sit and run this stuff down. I mean, I'm not overly educated. I had 3 years of college, but and part of it, criminal psychology. But I I just want the people up there to wake up and ask questions. You got Brandon Hood uh, with a dealer that, you know, she walked off, they stole everything he had and left him laying to die. Uh, you know, and this woman has 4 bodies under her belt for selling bad dope. She pleaded out and got 8 years on paper, and she's walking the street selling her shit still. I mean, where's it going to stop? Because uh, they're selling stuff that's got fentanyl in it. People don't realize they've got better stop and think. In West Tennessee, they caught enough fentanyl to, if it gets in our water supply, we're all bought and paid for. Everybody. And that, I mean, that's not just the ones that can't afford bottled water, because they're going to get the bottled water too. It's, you know, it's time people start standing up, asking questions when the law thinks they're above
Yes,
the Constitution and state constitution and the laws. Something needs to change.
they should
And
be.
I know there's some good officers in there, but
Mm-hmm.
you got the good old boy mentality. You know, you either go along or get along down the road. And these guys in these counties, they deserve more money. I believe that in my heart. You know, cut a few of these programs out and pay these officers like they ought to be paid, especially the ones that do their jobs. I think if one is caught, uh, you know, playing up both sides of the fence, the law, he ought to get the highest penalty of the law that it offers,
Yeah.
because he knew he was breaking the law. You know, you got some people that ignorance of the law, it happens because some, you know, the area, it's not a really highly educated area up there, and it's been taken advantage of. They've made people afraid. You know, 2 people went in to give statements on errands. They was told to mind their own business. Then were told that I sent them out to arrest them because of my son's murder. They were the ones that used the word murder to start with. I didn't. This was within weeks of Aaron dying. So, it started playing out quick up there. They just underestimated how many people would talk to me because I grew up there. Like I said, I've got a good heart. I've always trusted uh, the law enforcement officers I knew when I was growing up. I respected. There's always been moonshine around and stuff like that. People done what they had to do to get by.
Yeah.
But the people manufacturing this wasp meth, they're killing people. They're literally killing people. And they have shown no remorse. These people out there, the night Aaron died, kin to him, he'd known all his life, he went to school with some of them at Hillhound. They claimed to be his friends, but not one showed up at his funeral.
Jeez.
Yeah. They called and threatened to kill me 3 different times, which I called the detective. He never mentioned it. They come after me. They better do a good job.
So I was just seeing Chasen's comment. Hey, Dunaway, give me a call sometime. I have questions. I keep saying the same thing, and you have no idea how many people have also warned me though, and
Yes.
you're getting, and I'm sure Jason can,
Oh,
you
she's
know,
called up there. They won't talk to her.
yeah, I'm sure she.
Uh, all I
People are
wanted.
scared, and people are warning you. You guys are getting into some tricky stuff. People are starting to notice you, and we just say, that's what we want. But
Well,
people, they have support now. That's what you bring, Lisa, is you bring people support. You let them
well,
know that. Mhm.
together, the people in the district, the people all the victims all over Tennessee. It's time for all of them to stand together. I mean, if you've got a district attorney that's keeping the drug dealers on the street, uh, the drug dealers, especially, well, they all need to serve their sentences. You got the governor just reduced life sentences, cutting them in half.
You
They
got
are,
DAs allowed to say, "Oh, I didn't know I was breaking the law." Where are they?
yeah, and that's one of the first things you learn in school. But ignorance of the law works if you're official.
Gee, because I tell you
But
what,
me and you,
I don't think I can use that excuse.
no, if that's like me going out and running 105. Well, I didn't know there's a speed limit.
Yes.
Same difference. But
Sorry, officer. I didn't know the
people,
speed limit was 55. I thought it was 85.
yeah,
What?
yeah. Well, it looks like a 65.
It's crazy.
It is, and I mean, the people, not the officials,
Mm-hmm.
are the only ones that can stop it. I mean, they get in there and they're doing things wrong, need to boot them out, put somebody else in there. But when you get it to the point where nobody will run against a sheriff or a district attorney, a mayor, or anybody else, then you have a real problem. And in this case, FBI needs to be all over that district. That district needs to be made an example of to set one for the rest of the state. Now, I know there's bad stuff in every place, and there's always going to be some injustice because, even a trial by jury,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have somebody that may go to prison that was innocent. You're going to have some that get off that wasn't innocent. The system isn't perfect
No.
because
It's
everybody
a
has their own interpretation
Yeah.
of what they hear and what they see. But grown-ups can know the difference between right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And accountability is the big thing here. I mean, I've seen Courtney Cash's stuff. Uh, I believe the mother is on point. I believe she's 100% on point. I've never met this woman. Uh, Many of the cases up there, actually, I don't think I've ever met anybody physically. But like I said, I wanted my son's death certificate changed for his kids.
His
That
kid,
was all. That's all I wanted.
oh, his kids don't deserve to have their
No, they need.
time for
They
that.
need. They deserve to know their daddy didn't leave by their own hand. And Aaron died trying to protect people's kids up there because they asked him to cross a line he couldn't cross. And everybody should have those places they can't cross. They should be taught them. But when law enforcement, you're supposed to lead by example. And all they're teaching up there, I mean, there's nothing in Clay County for anybody to get a job at and make any money unless they drive 100 miles. But it's the people, the old money up there that's kept industry out. I mean, it's sitting on the Cumberland River. Easy transportation, but it's being used for other kinds of transportation now. uh, it's time for people to stand up. I know I have friends, I've always valued, that never once have publicly said they supported me. And, they're in decent positions in their life. But, at the end of the day, anything we get here on this earth, we can't take with us. It's on loan.
Amen.
My question would be, is your eternity worth what you're going to have here on earth? Because all we have is love. We teach people how to love. We teach them God's ways, how to be a good person. We can't make, our kids ain't always, they'll do things that we'll never know about. As parents, we try to see the best in our kids. Now, me and Aaron, I think about so many things he done. His sister told me not long after he died that he had actually put her in the dryer once and turned it on.
I tried to do that. Me and my sister tried to do that
Uh,
with my brother.
Kids,
Yep.
kids, siblings especially, they'll fight each other harder than they'll fight anybody else, but you let somebody else step in with it.
Yes, ma'am.
uh, but kids, they will, there's things they'll do that we'll never know about, and that's life. I've done things my dad didn't know about, and
Mm-hmm.
kids are gonna try their drinking and their smoking, and it's kids, they're learning. And I don't think there's a perfect child out there other than Jesus Christ. But we
Lord
want to
knows I
see.
ain't perfect.
Oh
Woo.
God, no. I mean, you know. But life, we can either stand up now and hold these officials accountable, or future generations won't know how to stand and fight for nothing. They'll always be what I call bootlickers. You do what you say, never ask a question. Do what you're told. And that's not freedom. That's not freedom. And, if we don't do, the whole country actually is going to have to do something, or life as we know it, I've seen it change more the last 15 years than I saw in the first 47 of my life, 48. It's time to change. Okay. Jen said, bring in people from different
Oh, you have
states.
so much support going on here.
What we need the Department of Justice. and we need the FBI because the sex trafficking, it's happening. The gun running's going north, and then they sending stolen guns down here. Uh, the car part, these wrecked rebuild autos, those are a joke, and I mean a serious one. The river. Think about the cities on the river. Uh, there's just a lot you can look at. Uh, I've had so much info come into me, and I'm not out to destroy, and I'm not about getting in anybody's business until my son got killed, and then that makes it
Oh,
makes it
yeah.
my business. And future, I've still got some family that lives up in there. Uh, I care for my family, all of them. But Aaron went to jail. I never I've never tried to say, well, my kid didn't do this, my kid didn't do that. If he was right and he was done wrong, I stood for him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he done the crime, he had to do his time, and I believe in that. That's the reason I've always respected, the judicial system. But the judicial system now is set up to give the criminals more rights than the law-abiding citizens have. That's wrong. I mean, you make a mistake one time, a drug dealer gets caught one time, they turn their life around. They deserve that first break. I'll give them that one.
Mm-hmm.
But you keep making conscious choices over and over, and they need to lock them up. Tennessee's got a 3-strike rule. I don't know when that thing's been enforced, if ever. So, I have a different perspective. Like I said, all they had to have done and make me go away was to change my son's death certificate. I wasn't about suing nobody. I ain't never had no money.
You've
Don't
never
need
ever once mentioned any of that. What you've mentioned to me
and
is
what
that
this say?
you wish you could unbury him and have him tested. You wish that you could have this rope tested. You wish that you could have so much done for him.
Well, uh, I get mad and I cuss, but I believe with every fiber of my being in God. Uh, I wish these people would keep us from having to take him out of the ground. I don't believe that you should disturb,
No,
the dead.
no.
But in this case, Aaron's not there. He's not there. I know it's just a body,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about letting those babies know he didn't leave by his own hand, and to be able to tell them everything what he was trying to do, to let them know his loyalty and love for his family. People don't know what loyalty is. That boy was old school. He was loyal. Respect your elders. Take care of the babies. You don't mistreat animals. That was his code. He wasn't perfect. Uh, he had smacked Karen. He had.
Yeah.
That ain't the half of what I'd done to her if I caught her doing the things he did. But he had a big heart. He thought he could save her. But you can't. I mean,
Which a lot of
she,
us can relate to.
yeah,
We can't fault him for.
she's running. She's running herself crazy. But and I mean, they're all looking over their shoulder because they know what they've done.
And they should be.
But the law enforcement, when they made the call to go with suicide, after they seen his daddy, they thought it was just another poor dumb hillbilly that'd go along with whatever they said. I'm poor. I am. I mean, I live on very little. But dumb and bending over and taking whatever they say don't work for me. You've proved me I'm wrong. I'll apologize to anybody.
Yeah.
Prove it to me. I mean,
And
they
that's
have,
all I've ever, yeah, that's all I've ever asked for people that challenge what you say is just prove it, because where are the people saying any different?
well, it's like the one I caused so much heat over airing his picture. It took me a long time to find the picture. Everybody have to wonder why, since there's such a big criminal record behind it. Everything I said about the boy, I stand by, because there is records out there to prove exactly what I say. The dude's girlfriend put him right there. She put him there. I got somebody that'll say she told them, I got it. All they got to do is go out and talk to these people if they wanted to. I gave the detective in the DA's office 3 names. One of them named one of the killers. I gave him the whole conversation. I gave him the conversation between one of the ladies that talked to the girl that was cleaning the crime scene. I gave him 3. I didn't give them all. They wanted them all. You don't put your eggs all in one basket. That don't make sense. They give them time to cover stuff up. I can tie a lot of people to a lot of other crimes. See, those wasn't my business. And I tend to mind my business. But they made it where these had to be my business. I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And now, this is
Your
bigger
son.
it's bigger than just Aaron.
Yeah.
It's Cindy Young. She's fighting with her around for her being.
Oh,
And
she's so sweet.
you know, if people think, well, she had some justice. Some justice ain't justice.
Not enough.
Exactly. And she may never live to see it. And that's wrong. She's fought for 8 years. The Bohannons, they're banned from a courthouse because they ask questions. Because they love because they love Josh.
Who was a diabetic.
How do you ban people from a public building that taxpayers pay for?
And Josh was diabetic, and they're saying he just chose to leave with nothing that he would need.
He couldn't.
He just chose to walk away with nothing that he would need.
And Caitlin,
she hopped in the car and took off.
Caitlin's a beautiful, very attractive girl. There's several in there that's very, very attractive, would do well in the sex trafficking. And, my heart tells me one thing, but there's also the possibility of the trafficking. And I mean, look at Josh. Handsome, handsome young man. I mean, the thing that stands to me on them is not putting out the missing persons reports quick enough.
Right away.
The first 48 hours, on an adult, I think it's 24 hours. I can understand, husbands, wives get into it, take off, I can see that. I get that. But, the first 48 hours is when they have the best chances of bringing these people back. Mm-hmm. But if people that, 5, 10 days, 2 months before a report's filed, I mean, hell, they could be halfway around the world by now if it's in sex trafficking.
Yep.
And I mean, they move these people in and out of the U.S. And there's just a lot to it. I mean, there's just too many going missing up here. And if you look at the ones that's going missing, and I don't mean to be ugly, I don't judge nobody. These people, these kids that are missing, or people, young people, they are physically attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something they might want to stop and look at. Uh, in Aaron's case, you know, truthfully, when when they opened the casket and his sister seen him, I asked her if that was Aaron. Uh, it just didn't, there's nothing about the photo of him in his casket that says he was my son. And he looked just like my daddy. But, Courtney's gone. Brandon Hood's gone. These, they're gone. There's no bringing them back. But these missing people, at this point with what's going on in Tennessee, you got to look at all the possibilities. And these people that I've seen that are missing, most of them are very, very attractive. Of course, you've got let's see, what is it? 3, 4, 5 that's turned up just in the last little bit.
Yeah, I almost want to throw Katie Cawthorn in it because she was right next to that.
Well, the thing about it is, Kentucky and Tennessee both have got a lot of sex trafficking going on.
Yeah, and she literally, her and her mom, they would have to go pay the electric bill across Tennessee border because they kind of supported surrounding areas there. So I mean, that's how close she was to that.
Yeah, I mean,
away, and there's no trace of her.
Exactly. People, I mean, the 2 that were found in White County, been missing since 2001. You got a diver go in one place and gets a phone call. You in the wrong place. Check this place out. I want to know how long they knew exactly where those 2 people were.
Yeah.
How long they know they were there. Why hadn't they been pulled up? I can tell you why. Election year. The Wilsons come out that they was skulls found. Oh, but they told the family it was bone fragments. How do they know it was the Wilsons then? Because testing to test them bones ain't going to come back in a couple of days. That takes DNA. People need to be asking questions, and lots of them fast. First few months, actually, last 6 months is when my brain has actually started working. And I can see things in other cases because I'm not as emotionally involved in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with Aaron's case, that's the reason, after I looked at Aaron, I just turned and I looked at the mortician and I asked him, I said, do you see any marks on his neck? Because, as a mom, a parent, you don't want to see things.
Mm-mm.
And that's when I started, he looked at me and he told me, he said, I can't find nothing on him. He asked me if he had been in a fight because he said it looked like he'd been in one hell of a fight. And when I told the detective that, he said, well, we'll just have to see about that. And I said, what are you going to do? Try to call and get him to say he didn't say it? I said, he said it in the office from a bunch of people.
And that's just another thing that makes me so mad. Like, if you,
I mean,
the way they talk to these families.
Yeah, but the big thing here is the detective passed away. He was a young man, only 42 years old. And, orders come from the top and they come down.
Yeah.
I never knew him to judge him as a human being. I don't set in judgment of him now. I knew his mom and dad in school. They were good people. And only thing I worry about is that They may try to use him as a scapegoat, and that family don't deserve that.
Mm-mm.
Because, like I said, orders come down. You
Yeah.
follow orders.
Yeah.
And I really don't think most officers, when they put on a badge, I don't think they set out to break the law. I think a lot of them set out to make a difference.
Oh, there. Yeah.
So, my
Yeah, I
thing
think even
would
the ones
be,
that want to talk from within,
you're
they're just
right.
as stuck as you guys. What
Yeah, well,
you know?
see, up there, I
Yeah.
mean, rural area, you rock the boat and,
Yeah.
you lose your job and they put some kind of crazy stuff down on your report where you can never get another job. And,
Just like that.
but there's going to be one that it's going to weigh on him heavy enough. Because I know for a fact I've heard people tell me of conversations they've heard inside the Overton County Jail that they knew for a fact Aaron didn't do it. I can tell you who heard it, and who was talking. And these people are trustworthy people. But, I ain't revealing who they are. When somebody comes in here that steps up and says, man, this ain't right, when the right people come along, I'll give everything I've got over to them. Everything.
Yeah.
But right now, if I could test the rope in the hat, the liquor bottle, those would prove my theory. And I have the utmost confidence in my theory. And I was actually told that there's a police officer's DNA on the upper part of that rope. He may have touched it to get it, out away from him, when they was doing the crime scene investigation. But I was told that. I've never said it, but
On the portion of rope that you have?
uh-huh.
Why would if but he was already cut down by the time they got so they would there's
You'll see that's what they said. But if you will
mm-hmm.
look at the cut on the rope, the cut's
Yeah, let me bring that
not
up.
right. It's not right. And like I said, if you look at the upper portion of the beam, Aaron's weight would have cut into that beam. Him swinging back and forth would have
Mm-hmm.
left marks on
Mm-hmm.
that beam. And think about this. From the time, if he was hanging there, from the time it took her to walk from that house, that shed, all the way up to that trailer, his neck would have had a mark that would have been unreal on it. You got to think about it. You're talking her little short ass. She couldn't have made it up there no quicker than probably 10 minutes. That would have been more than enough time for that to left a bad mark on him.
And she walked from this middle part of the shed here, right, with that little dot on there,
Oh
pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah, that right there. She's in the second
And
bay,
then she walked to the
all the
street
way down there. Yeah,
just right before you
and
round that
see,
curve,
there's
right?
a fence that separates those two properties. She had to walk out on the main road.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the grass was high and real deep and stumbly. I mean, you can sit and pick holes in their stuff all day long. I mean, you can sit and literally do it. And these are things, a lot of it that I never thought of before. It's just, more and more is coming. But the thing, like I said, they could have avoided the whole situation by doing the right thing to start with. Before you go thinking about crossing to the other side of the fence, there's all there for every for every action, there's a reaction. And a lot of them people get blackmailed into it. Well, you did this or you did that. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to know how they look themselves in the mirror. They may be driving big fine cars, living big fine houses, but at the end of the day, that house, that car, when you meet that man upstairs, Aaron Key's going to be sitting at your at their table of enemies. How many more in that district's going to be sitting there? I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. I wouldn't. And to go to church with the one dude, there is no way I'd sit on a bench beside him because You never know what's coming. Uh-uh. But people moved away from the Bible. Aaron believed in the Bible.
Goodness.
He was baptized. I thank God for that. Uh, he had actually had 3 Bibles in his suitcase, and I got he was baptized. I've got a picture of him being baptized. So that gave me a lot. That gave me comfort. Uh, the people. When we went in that funeral home on Tuesday morning, we didn't have no money. We didn't know what was going to happen, but the funeral home agreed to help us. And by the time we buried him Thursday evening at 2 o'clock, out of an $8,200 funeral, we only owed $2,100. So there was a lot of
Oh yeah.
my brother, my sister, his daughters, a lot of family on his daddy's side. Uh, you know, people can come together and do right, but sometimes you got to make people do right. And
Amen.
now's the time. I mean, Aaron's gone 33 months. Uh, it don't get no easier. There's days. I thank God that I'm so far away.
I think a lot of people confuse justice with closure, and I don't think there's
No,
any
no,
real closure, just the justice that he's
well,
just.
the thing is, you know, I know what happened down there. The law knows what happened. The DA knows what's happened because he was there. Uh, the people that participated know. But then you have, I know where my son's at. You've got families that's got missing people. They ain't got a clue. They don't know where to look, where to turn. They don't actually know how to pray. They don't bring my baby home safe and alive, or just bring him home where I can, where we can visit him. They don't got that. I do have that, and it's
But you're still grieving because that's
oh
not the way
I
he needs
thank
to.
you.
That's not what happened.
No,
And you deserve that too, just because you have a gravestone to go to, Lisa. You still don't. You deserve the justice. I mean, many
no,
people out there right now feel exactly the same way you do that have a stone to go to, and they still don't have justice or complete justice.
no. Uh,
I don't think you should ever
it
separate
gets
yourself
that
because
you bottom line. You bottom line. They make laws, human laws. Bottom line is God's 10th commandment. Uh, most all of us have broke some of them, some of all of them. Uh, I've tried to live close to them as I can, and I believe if you enforce the law uh, as close to it as you can, you stay near God's wrong and right, and we know wrong from right. When they killed him, they knew what they were doing. They was wrong. They didn't care that it wasn't just me. That Aaron had a lot of people out there that loved him,
yeah,
and law enforcement, the one county, them and him had a it wasn't they had a strange relationship, but those guys at the end of the day, I've seen them just laugh, and Aaron laughed too. Go get in the car and ask them if they was coming. Uh, Aaron respected the law as long as they treated him all right. But when you have a
yeah.
man 6'6", 245 pounds, He's got a target on his back. And Aaron, bless his heart, I've seen him have to fight. They keep on and they keep on until, they fought. He'd pick them up and bring them in our home, patch them up, feed them, and put them to bed and forget about it. He didn't hold grudges. He never did. He said, Mommy, you ain't supposed to hold a grudge. You're supposed to forgive. And for whatever reason, I haven't found it in me to hate all these people. And all I can say is that's God, because 10 years ago, this would be a whole different ball game. I'm God's work in progress, and I'm not afraid to die. I, I just know that there's a better place than we live now, so I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I try. We're all sinners, and I tried as good as I can, and when I stumble, I ask for forgiveness. But no matter win, lose, or draw, every one of these families, if I got his death certificate changed tomorrow, I'd still stand and support and fight every one of these people. I don't know them, but I know what they deserve.
You are connected in ways that, I mean, for me, and I'm
We're
sure I'm speaking for a lot of people, we do not understand. You guys are in this very specific group.
Yeah, we're members of a club. They ain't nobody wants to be a member of. Nobody. Uh,
And that's where you guys can come together. And
yeah,
that's what it's going
but
to take.
see, what people's got to get and understand. If you won't stand up and fight for your own child, why do you think anybody else would?
Exactly.
And sitting behind those doors, keeping your eyes closed, thinking you can shield kids from the world outside. You can't. The evil's out there. It's always going to be trying to conquer the good, one way or the other. And
If you believe there is good out there, you have to believe there's evil. You have to
oh
be
yeah.
that there are people who are capable of that.
Well, see, the world. If you look at the crime rates, Tennessee is considered one of the most corrupt states
Oh,
in the
Tennessee
country.
is wilding out, Lisa.
Yeah, it is.
You have
And
a lot to go against.
then you look at the suicide rate. Suicide rate in the Upper Cumberland Plateau is the highest in the state of Tennessee. Why? Why are so many murders, obvious murders, ruled suicides? Well, there's a guy at Alpine. I can't get his name. The girl that was telling me about it, I guess she's afraid to talk.
Yeah.
Beat to death. The two guys in his grandmother's back door, they left the baseball bat. And it was a ruled suicide. Why? It closes the case, gets more funding. I mean, you go in and look at the 13th District's books, you have no idea how many not availables you could ever see on a document and still collect federal funding. I mean, they had 6 suicides close to Turkeytown right there all together within 1 year. Ain't but one of them actually a suicide. He blowed his head off. I mean, there's no saying, put his gun under his chin, blowed the whole top of his head off. He done it. Hell, he held his wife's hand while he done it. And that was 15 hours before I aired. But I can tell you where that bad dope come from that made him do it. The same place my son was killed.
Hey, I have a question for you down here, Lisa. Have you consulted an attorney to help in the case?
Can't afford an attorney. And this, in my case, the wrongful death statute run out at 11/29. The only thing, and plus you can't, it's going to be hard to get an attorney to go up against officials, elected officials. Uh, and I wouldn't. There's not one in that district that's got the balls to take a case like this. Not one. And if they took it, you still got the man above them. Uh, the only hope I would have would be a pro bono lawyer, a civil rights attorney. That would be my only course of action. Uh, the statute run. We've got statutes. Some states it's 3. Tennessee's 1129 for wrongful death.
But, that's what we're trying. Yeah, I know that everybody's trying to talk about. What we'd really like to do is just find one that's brave enough to come look at a couple cases and kind of represent a few of you as a whole as one, right?
Well, I have an idea of bringing a civil lawsuit,
right, mm-hmm.
with all the victims' families in one case. It would be tried federally. It wouldn't be tied up there to where you got somebody and tell them to mess up the evidence as they did in the Lauren Agee case.
Which is a crazy one.
A civil rights attorney, actually the lawsuit like that with national attention, it probably clean up a whole lot of stuff real fast.
Yeah.
They need an agency. If you get new people in, they need somebody to overlook them, be looking at every case to know they're going to doing this stuff right. But there is some dark elements up there that one day it'll come out. But I don't hate, like I said, I don't hate none of these people. 10 years ago, I'd probably be in their custody, but it's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And you grow, you learn lessons. They're important lessons. Biggest one I've learned is forgiveness. And unfortunately, not to put your trust in man. You just.
I think we do. We think they put on that badge and they become these super beings that are
they're
corruption and the same thing. Bribery.
They're superheroes.
Yeah, and it's
you've got they're superheroes. These guys, and let me tell you.
Which there are a few I would call a superhero.
Oh God, yeah.
Still just as prone to the things we are.
Well, we're all humans.
Yeah.
We're all human beings. We have flaws. We make our mistakes. Some just make mistakes that are, that you wouldn't think they would make. And, we as people, we learn to forgive each other. But when it starts costing lives, it starts costing families, destroying families, then, either you're big enough to stand up and say, I made this mistake, I did this.
Yes.
And, you may get a little leniency in it if you stand up and you tell the truth. But if you keep holding stuff, you got people up there that's living in homes and driving cars that's way above their pay grades. Mm-hmm. And why the citizens haven't noticed it, I don't understand, other than their life is moving so fast. Everybody's busy trying to get all you can get in this life. But at the end of the day, when they put you in the ground or cremate you, they ain't nothing you can take from this earth with you but love. No, that's it. I'd rather go being loved than somebody come out and, these people, God help them, they're going to probably have some other people do some ugly stuff to their graves because some people are retaliatory. But I just believe if the people in the 13th district and all over Tennessee will stand together, the people can make the change that's needed. I mean, it's not going to bring back the ones we've lost. It's not. But the ones that have lost can bring about the awareness
Yes.
where people can make the change. And
I keep telling everybody we don't need another movement. You know, they're awesome and they're a way to bring awareness and a little bit of change, but we're going to need more
we
than a
just
movement. No,
awareness,
we need
awareness. You know, the
we need
sign,
laws that change and people to come down.
the laws that are in place are not bad laws.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you start stretching that law, when you stretch it and you stretch it, well, we're going to give this in a break because it's kin to so and so. I mean,
Yeah.
the judge's
It's so
nephew or something up there that killed a guy on a motorcycle. You know, they're trying to sweep that one under the rug. I mean, known heroin and drug, known addict was impaired at the scene, but they're trying to sweep that under the rug, and that's in the 13th. They know who I'm talking about.
well, I want to know about it all because I will post
Yeah,
it all. You guys can send
but
it privately to me or however, but I'm in Ohio. I want to know
the
about
more
the dirty little
people,
deeds going on in the.
the more people come up and stand
Mhm.
together, the more likely this bunch is going to stand up and say, "Look, we're going to have to do this stuff by the book." But I mean, you've got judges now. They don't. You know why they don't want cell phones and stuff in the courtroom?
Because yeah,
Where the outside world
yeah,
can't see them breaking the law. Body cams. They're a good thing. Actually, one of the dear ones up there raped a gal and thought he turned his cam off and just throwed it over in the back seat. Aaron told me about that one, and I know who the girl is.
jeez.
And I talked to her. She confirmed it, but she's scared. Uh, it's dirty. Uh,
And
you
people
know,
are scared, and we're not saying, for good reason. We're not saying that, but we're
you
saying
know,
that that's why we all need to come together as one.
yeah.
That's why you
I
guys
mean,
all need to come
there's gonna be a police officer up there, and I'm gonna say he's gonna be right in the midst of all of this, somewhere in all of this. That when he realizes how big it is, because I don't think all the police officers even know. They may know in their little area what's going on, but they not realize what's going on in these other 6 counties or in these other districts. They're not realizing it, and one day they say, "Oh my God," they'll be asked to do something that goes against their moral fiber, and that's when a lot of heads are going to roll because when you got 80, 100 people knowing you're violating the law, you're a prime candidate to be blackmailed. Well, I saw you do this. I saw you do that. I'm going to tell. I mean, it's kid stuff.
together.
Tattletale it.
Yeah.
When you step over the line and another one knows it, it's going to haunt your entire career. And that's what they've got to think about. Yeah, you can have a nice car and all this. But like I said, that car ain't good. You can't take that car into heaven with you.
Nope.
So I mean, it's what you can live with. And from what I can see up there, you've got a lot of folks that ain't got no conscience. They don't care about the people that's voting them in. When they win that election, I didn't make you no promise like that. That's what Courtney Cash's mom's facing. A broken promise thrown out of the district attorney's office. I admire this woman. She my hero.
She is, yeah.
But
She's so sweet too, though, and she's going through so much right now. And she
well,
would be on here speaking too, by all means.
you
But
know,
she is just going through so much right now.
I know she sure is, and I pray for her every day.
But we've done a
Y'all,
video for Courtney in her behalf and all, and so you guys can go check that. There's other Unraveling Tennessee episodes that we have done.
and they gonna be a lot more too.
Yes, and that's what Lisa does. You know, she advocates for Aaron, but man, she is a bulldog for all of these families
Every one of them.
because that's
They
what it's
all.
going to
I
take.
don't
She
know.
understands
I
that.
don't know any of the. I do know one case. One case I've known, but I know the mother, but I hadn't seen them since the daughter was probably a toddler. And when I moved away from up there, I moved away. There's just a lot of pain. I lost my mom and dad up there, my grandmother. It wasn't home no more. Tried to move back. Yeah, it ain't home. So I'm not. The only time I'll ever be back to stay is when they bury me beside Aaron. And ain't no need of putting a headstone up there because a lot of the killers live right there close to where he's buried. Yeah, so, but I'm going there. I ain't afraid to go. Put me there. I'm good. I'm good. I'll stand and help any of these families any way I can.
Man,
Uh, I hope, encourage them to talk. Sometimes families don't agree on what one side of the family's theory is. About being adults, you got to hear both sides,
yeah,
all the perspectives.
yes,
And somewhere in the middle, maybe you'll find the real truth.
amen.
And everybody's hurting. They lash out at people in anger and hurt. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want justice. We just want answers. And it's time those people up there start giving these victims' families answers because they've made victims out of these families too. And there's not one of these families deserve it. Now, our kids ain't always going to be perfect. They'll get into stuff they don't belong in. It ain't good for them. But there's a lot that's set up there in their fine houses that got a lot of closets, skeletons in their
Oh
closets.
yeah,
Some people just choose to do it out in public. I got more respect for them because they own what they do. And if you're ashamed of it, don't do it. That's my opinion.
yeah.
Uh, but if there's any more questions, I'm here for send them to me. But I respect these families for coming in and standing up. I hate that the new ones that's introduced into our club had to be part of it. Uh,
There
but
is a group for Aaron on Facebook, Sarah. Let me. It's all over my page. Let me drop it here. I will drop it right now because that's where I always send everybody. You know, we have
is there?
mature, but that's where you can go back because you were very detailed in your group for Aaron.
Well,
You you
uh,
you have you have written very much about your journey through what you've
uh,
had to go through.
you know,
And just as a
alcoholism.
mom, you know, just
Yeah,
as being his mother and all of that.
yeah. Well, I just hope when I started, like I said, I couldn't get no help. I couldn't afford no help. All I had to fight with was the group. Now, there's a couple of groups. There's Justice for Aaron Shankey. It's got the most members. That's the public group. Then there's another one. Some people that live in the area wanted a private group because they'd be ridiculed and harassed. So that one's set up, but the information is in Justice for Aaron Shankey. That was the only avenue I had to fight. Back in the first part of it, they I put out some ugly stuff. I put out enough ugly stuff that every time I put it out, if I use their name, I went to Facebook jail. So they all have fictitious names, and they know exactly who. And
Yeah.
most people know who I'm talking to. But there's like I said, there's a lot. I put it straight out there. I put their names out there, and I stand by every one.
You're welcome, Sarah.
I haven't told a lie. I haven't told nothing. I've told about the difference in the times that I found out about. Uh, that's the only deviation
Yeah.
that's been there. Like I said, none of them showed up for his funeral. I'm sorry. Nobody ever called to say I'm sorry. You know, one of them even told his cousin. He said, "Well, she blames me." This was before my son's funeral. I didn't know nothing to blame nobody until I looked into one dude's eyes. I knew him since he was a kid. He was a person to look you in the eye, always dead in the eye. All he could do was look at the ground after I told him 2 and 2 didn't equal 4, that Aaron didn't hang himself. He never looked in my eyes again. So, they travel in a pack out there. So my suggestion to anybody
And Dunaway himself went out to this scene, right?
excuse me?
And Dunaway himself, D.A.
Oh,
Dunaway.
Dunaway was there the night Aaron died because the TBI agent told me that Dunaway requested him. He was there. And they don't go to suicide. ADA Door told me I didn't have any choice in accepting whatever he decided. When I asked him about the test on the rope, he said, "We don't do tests on suicide, on ropes like that and suicides." I said, "So you decided it was a suicide before his body even left for Nashville?" And that's when I told him, I said, "I got one of the, I asked him about what it said. And that's when he told me they didn't do tests like that." I said, "Well," I said, "I've got a recorded phone call between me and your detective that said he's waiting on a 5-page report on that rope." He hung up on me. I ain't heard from him since. His people called a couple of times, but I wouldn't give that man air if he was in the jug. Because, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I have no respect for the man. I have no respect for his ethics. I've had a lot of people call and contact me about cases they were prosecuted in by this man. So, that's the proof's in the pudding. You know, he's not what he's. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. So,
Yes, there are. Yes.
I tell you what I'd love to see, just simply to see it. I know a lot of people live up there, and I respect that. I'd love to know how many of them just exactly have been railroaded in that district. I just love to know, just to see what the bottom line really is. But you see, a lot of them, if they're still on paper and stuff, they ain't gonna open their mouths
Oh, no.
because they're gonna get something else thrown at them. Uh, so, I know how they operate now. Uh, that's the reason I've had to do everything I've done. I do it in the open. I say it in the open. If it gets to them, I said it. That's fine. If they want to talk to me on neutral ground, face to face, I'll tell them the same thing. I'm not going to run from these people. I'm not going. I don't run. If I done it, I done it. If I said it, I said it. That's who. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you might not hear that one voice, but that one voice may start an army. And that has what this has turned into. I'm sorry that there's so many. I wished I could prevented all of them from hurt. But God's got me doing it for a reason.
There is a yes, there is a reason.
And as long as He's guiding me and walking me with me, there's not a one of them I won't stand for. Not one. Uh, I wish more. Aaron was older than a lot of these victims.
But that doesn't mean he mattered any less. Mm-mm.
Uh, the little Summer Wales, God bless her little heart. I wish.
And I've had a lot of people ask me why I haven't covered Summer Roses and why isn't she included in the Unraveling, which I'm not. That's not. But I kind she's just getting a lot of attention right now, and I don't want to say that in a bad way because I will. And quite frankly, I've come in so late I wouldn't know where to start. And I've already, Chasing Justice has covered her. And I've
Yeah,
reached out to her and said if she would like to come over and kind of help me do an episode on her, yeah. But with my whole page that I try to do is I try to do cases like Aaron that nobody has ever heard about, and they're not quite getting that attention to
yeah.
get the Summer Wells attention.
Well, see,
No?
Summer Wales case actually has opened up a lot of what's going on in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But God bless her little heart, uh, it turned into a circus where the podcast people were fighting and defending themselves against each other, and Summer got lost.
Yeah.
They all lost their main objective, which was to help people that didn't have a voice. And we ended up without a voice. And then you know uh, Chasing Justice, and you came along. And my thing is, when I thought about this, covering the cases in the Tennessee dark hole, I approached you about it because I knew you talk better than you realize you do. You speak well. You speak better.
I type better. The camera
Well,
I'm getting there with the camera.
but you do well, and you're neutral. I mean, you don't know none of us.
Yeah.
And when you stand outside of the circle and look in, you can see things that people inside the circle can't see.
Yeah.
And that's like, in Aaron's case, like I said, up until I walked in that embalming room and all the phone calls started coming in, I believed he had done it. I had a weekend to set and think about, that he had took his own life. And, I made peace with it. But when I got there and saw him, nobody can have that much damage done to him. I mean, broken right wrist. And actually, a young lady that's come into Aaron's group, she said she could actually see bite marks and bruising above where his wrist is broke. I haven't went back and looked at it. I try to help where I can.
You are
Caitlin's family, they're both, there's a lot of people involved in that one. Some of them different opinions. But at the end of the day, they all want the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's important, is remembering the same thing. You want the same thing. Talk to each other. Ask the questions you want to ask. Because Aaron's family, they've come to me and they've asked me a lot of questions. I'll answer to the best of my ability, to what I know. I feel like, when the Overton County, the lady from Overton County called me, the second call when she told me she was the attorney for Overton County. And she lied. She lied and said TBI had the case. They didn't. I mean, then you got a gag order goes in place that these officers are not allowed to discuss Aaron's case with nobody, not even their families or not amongst each other. To me, that should have been a warning bell for every officer that works at Overton County or works in Livingston City Police. That should have been a warning bell. What's going on? Why don't they want us to talk about this? Something's not right. But these people have families. These officers have families. They have jobs. And if they stand up and say something, first of all, I believe if somebody went in and said, I killed Aaron Key, I was part of it, blah, 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 was there, I don't think they'll let him confess.
I don't, yeah. Mm-mm.
But like they can bank on one damn thing. If I got to go to Washington D.C. and count, I will. All they got to do is what's right. We made a mistake. Correct it. That's all I wanted. Correct the mistake. Yeah. Wasn't never about a nickel, a dime, nobody's job. Mistakes happen, even with police officers. But when you got a district, like when I watched what went on with Lauren Agee and the sheriff down there, followed no protocols. There was no protocols followed with Aaron's either. I want to know if they know what protocols are because Aaron's hands weren't bagged. Obviously, the crime scene wasn't. I mean, if it was a suicide, why'd he lay there 8 hours?
Yeah.
So, they've got some things, they can make, some things it takes a while for evidence to come back. I get that. But, 33 months, unless there's a huge backlog, I mean, I don't see it, but,
Sarah, that's how it's done, though. I just wanted to, she makes such a good point. That's how it's done right there. From creators to people that out there that want to support all these families, that's how you get it done, is just sharing and keeping this circle, not keeping everything within these group, I understand, for privacy reasons, that's a different, but
well, when you keep
working together, it should be the same flow of information going out.
Well, no, in there, in cases when you have evidence that pop up, in order to protect your case to get a guilty verdict in a murder trial, I get they have to play it close to the vest. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because, people can pack up, well, hey, we're fixing to indict him on a murder charge. They can pack up and leave the country.
Yeah.
Looking for somebody, that runs into a lot of money. So I see certain aspects of keeping stuff close to the vest. I get that. Mm-hmm. I get it. But at the same time,
families should never be out here feeling the way they are.
No, when you ban people from a public facility because they ask questions that building's paid for by the taxpayers, government funded. That building belongs more to the taxpayers than it belongs to the people that works in it. They are showing the utmost disrespect for the integrity of the taxpayers. Josh Bohannon's family only wanted answers. And they're not welcome in a building to ask questions. Well, just who they supposed to ask those questions to? They're left with nobody to ask the questions to.
When they should be the first person that are getting the questions asked.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
With adults, they say they have a choice. Their excuse is, oh, well, they're adults. They can leave if they want. Which, yeah, we're not disputing that. We're not saying that there aren't people out there like
that. I'll tell you my little theory. When Aaron got killed, they took the girlfriend to jail when they arrived at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Took her to jail. I was told they arrested another guy at the scene, but I can't find nothing on the books nowhere says he was arrested. But they kept her from April the 5th to January the 20 something, 9 months later. And girls that were in the jail with her said there was cops that would take her, go and sit with her for a couple of hours every day for the first 6 months.
Jeez.
Why would they do that? 2 of them every day for 2 hours for 6 months. They have got Josh's Bohannon's get wife in there where nobody can't get to her and question her for a reason. They say it's on old unrelated charges. They can blow that smoke up as long as they want to. They've got her where she can't talk to nobody and say nothing because she knows what went down. I believe I know what went down too. But, you know, they're protecting their selves by keeping her locked up. I believe that with all my heart. I mean, she went home and told them that they taught her how to pass a lie detector test. Why would any law enforcement agency teach somebody to pass a lie detector test? Why? Maybe the feds ought to go in and grab her up and ask her why they taught her to pass a lie detector test
in the first place. Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't ask the right question because they don't want to ask the right question.
I think they asked the right questions, and I think they knew before they arrested her. There's just a lot going on up there.
Yeah.
A lot, and
I started looking into Josh's case when I first started my page, and I have a grandmother.
There's just too much stuff. Now, this is my thing, and I may be off right here, may be totally off. If, first of all, they wouldn't do a missing persons report on them. That's the first thing that throws in my mind with the sex trafficking. They sex traffic men and women, and Josh is a damn good-looking young man.
Yeah.
But then they won't write the report. Then, I mean, there's just too many. If you are not part of something, why would you ban his family from a public facility? What have you got to hide? They hiding something from that family. They know more than they're saying, which most law enforcement agencies do, because of cases. But Josh's case should be a criminal investigation now, but it's not. And I've seen his mom's post, his Aunt Vicky's.
Yeah.
But I believe, these cases are connected. You've got a lot that are very, very connected. But like I said, the only way we can stop this is bring awareness and keep the people coming out of the woodwork. I mean, there's just, that's the only way anybody's got a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never move back up there. Never.
No, I camped up around Kentucky, Boonesboro Park, if anybody's familiar. I spent so much time up around there, and then the Tennessee parts. I always tell myself I'm a big country fan. I'm a grandparents' girl. I always said Tennessee, man, up around them parts, and now, no.
Well, see the thing, Tennessee. You see all these beautiful pictures of lakes and trees and mountains. It's beautiful. But you got to understand places like Turkeytown, Long Ridge between Jackson and Clay County. You're talking about places that's never been touched by federal feet. You're talking about places that a lot of human beings haven't ever walked. Very, very few. Long Ridge, actually, Aaron's, my son's, let me get this right, great great grandpa was a full blooded Cherokee Indian that lived on that ridge. He walked that ridge barefooted.
Wow.
There's a lot of places in there. There's no electricity run all the way back through there.
Yeah.
Great place to do a lot of things, get rid of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, there's just that area, particular area, holds a lot of deep, dark secrets that most people hope to never come out. But hopefully these secrets come out because
Yes.
I don't know how long all this has been going on. I mean, I played ball growing up there. I think I was privileged to grow up in Clay County. Uh, the sense of community up there used to, and back in the 70s, it was incredible. I was absolutely privileged. Walked to school as a kindergarten by myself at 5 years old. So
Me too.
Summer,
I mean,
Summer Wales' age.
yeah, I would, and even my age, and now I wouldn't. My kids
No,
would
and
not.
Salina is very small, tourist attraction town. A lot of, the Megan Bowling case. She come in
Mhm.
vacationing, never went home. Uh, there's just, you know, it's time for the people of Tennessee to do something. So that's the bottom line.
Yep.
If they want to live in fear and say this is never going to knock on your door, don't say it. I did. It knocked on my door, and it's knocked on so many that I wasn't aware of. A lot worse than I dreamed of, and we ain't scratched the surface.
No.
And the real numbers, I'm afraid to really think about. But all of us have a connection together. We've all been made victims. So it's time for the victims to stand up and have a voice, and a damn loud one. It needs to be heard from here all the way to Washington, D.C.
I believe it can. I do. I
Okay,
believe.
yes. God call later.
I
Yeah,
believe it can.
yeah, that's what I've always been told. What's in the dark always comes to light. When people get to thinking they're above the law, and they start making mistakes, doing stuff that's real obvious, and this is happening up there a lot. I mean, obvious stuff. Then they think they're above the law, they're untouchable, and if the feds don't step in, the old man upstairs usually does. Because he's got a way of cutting you down the side. Uh, Together, united, just like the United States, we've got to be united as the victims.
Yes.
That's the only way a lot of these families, the only way we can prevent as many future tragedies, maybe possibly get some of these newer cases some answers. I want Aaron's death certificate changed. I realize there may never be arrest in his case, but ultimately, God's gonna set.
Mm-hmm.
Karma going around. I mean, to this bunch, it's hit them. It's still hitting them, and God's letting them know. Hey, do this, do the right thing. It might just end up being manslaughter charge or something.
Still.
Something's better than
Still.
that.
Yeah.
Something's better than nothing. But this bunch on that ridge has had a loving door. As back in the 70s. Now I remember the one when he didn't do drugs, and he's one of the prime ones in this now. The man's eyes I looked into wasn't the man I knew. The man I knew years and years ago. So the drugs they're selling up there that obviously, You got more drug cases, you got more attorneys making more money, more court costs. It's generating huge revenues. It's a win for everybody by keeping these people on the street, except for the people that get killed or for the people that they go in and rob their houses and take their stuff. Beating up old people, killing old people to get something to get home. See, they're the victims.
Yeah.
And then you give this Johnny so and so, oh, well, he is high when he done this. I mean, how many times is Johnny still getting high?
Yep.
Yep. Turn him back on the street. It's a revolving door. It's an endless circle. And you get people with a DUI or a driving license offense, they're going to tack their ass to the wall. And now you got people where you arrest people and then they drop charges on them where they can file charges trying to take people's property. I mean, how far are they going to let this go? It's bad. It's bad. And most everybody don't know it. But I think we stole a lot of time here. I appreciate everybody that listens to me. But I would say, we can't bring the dead back. But we can try to fight together and keep from there being so many victims in the future. I mean, we can't stop everything. Nobody can do that. Things happen, but we can hold people accountable.
Hey, yes.
And accountability equals change. And I wished I had the education, and I lived in that district because I'd go up against that man because it's the right thing to do. But you got lawyers around there that's more than qualified that won't go up against him.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it's funny because I went to school with a couple of them, and basically in my book, they're bootlickers. They do what they say without asking questions. So that's my opinion, and I'll tell them that. I actually called one of them to try to represent me, and I thank God every day he didn't call me back. And I've learned a lot of lessons. They're hard. The cost is higher than it should be. Because I know Aaron went to a couple of officers in Clay County. I know he went to a couple in Overton.
Jeez.
I know exactly who they are and when it happened. And the system failed him. He tried to do what was right, but the system's bad. And he's the one that lost his life. So one day I'll be able to tell it all. And it'd be a lot easier read then. For the people that think this is something me and a gal cooked up, I don't really give a damn what they think because they don't matter. Because, like I said, all you got to do is background research. You can find it.
Mm-hmm.
I found it. Mm-hmm. It's there. All you got to do is look. Instead of jumping on and trying to say, well, this didn't happen, she's lying and stuff. Say what you want to. I can prove, like I said, it's there, public records. They can't hide everything.
Nope.
And all I can tell you is if you've got a problem with it, you've got a loved one that's been a victim, stand up. I mean, if you loved them, stand up. If you didn't, sit there and keep your mouth shut. You're the one that's got to sit at their table, when they're judged. So at the end of the day, it boils back to me for wrong and right and what God wants you to do. Yeah, I'll cuss. It broke the law. I've had some driver's license infractions. I wasn't perfect. Some of them wasn't my fault. It's sort of me finding out after the fact, but it's there. I had them. I own them. I've made my mistakes, learned, treasure, treasure every second with your family, because you never know when you can't tell them you love them again. Uh, and in that district, there's just too many going too fast, too young, and for the wrong reasons. And if they can't stand up and stand together, it's only going to get worse. It'll never get better because they're doing stuff blatantly, not caring, thinking there's nobody to answer to. And so far, right now, they don't have. But we can make sure they do have if we stand together. So I think I'm done for tonight.
Yeah.
I love all you guys. Stand together. I'll do
You
what
are
I
a
can.
beacon. Aaron is a beacon. And
Uh,
you have, because of you, I have had more families reach out to me. And some of the,
it's Aaron. It's Aaron.
yes,
God sends us all with a purpose. And when we fulfill that purpose, and we're going. And Aaron opened up something that needed the world needed to see. He didn't get to finish it, but I'll do everything in my power to,
but he will be there
everything
with
I
you.
can to make sure if we save one life standing together,
Yeah.
then we've done something. We've made a difference. Sitting on your butt, not asking questions, you ain't gonna make a difference. Bitching and crying and not doing nothing. Get off your ass and do something.
Yeah. Yes.
But I'm gone.
I appreciate it.
Anybody wants to reach out and ask questions,
Thanks for,
I'm
yeah.
I'm there. Uh, I wished I had a lawyer that would stand up and say, pro bono, take this all into a civil action lawsuit. Uh, Feds would come in. They come in once before. Maybe they'll come again. So uh, we've just got to, be in it for the long haul. I never thought it'd take this long with Aaron, and it may be another 30 years. If God lets me live, I'm here. I'm still fighting. So I'm going to say goodnight. Uh, Appreciate you a lot. Chasing justice, muddy waters.
Yes. And that's
They
what,
they know what they're coming in up against, and
yeah.
they're willing to take it on. So let's see what happens. But the billboard, they silenced the billboard. It's that's a political thing, obviously.
Yeah.
I think the banner idea running across 24/7 on your page,
Yeah.
Chasing Justice page, everybody will see it.
So when we first started out, they tried to get this billboard approved and it got denied. And so that's where Lisa came up with the idea. So let's just take all this to see and make this huge slideshow and run it for 24. It's just for alt. And I was just like,
Yeah.
yes. So that's
And
why
see, you can keep adding, as new cases come
yeah.
in, add a new photo.
And this
See, the
was kind
reason
of a photo
they
we
didn't want that billboard up. When Courtney's was up, it was one long billboard. But when you got 13 faces up there on the billboard besides hers that says the same thing, you don't look so good.
nope.
And that's what that got down to. Political, it's political. But, there's strength in numbers.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, they're going to get tired of listening to everybody. We got to go check this out. These people are
Mhm.
raising hell for a reason. So, you know, we got to do it. Love you all. You got questions? I'm in
Love you,
justice for
Lisa.
Aaron Shane Key. I'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm very, very glad. I've been telling Lisa to come do a questionnaire, just or a question and answer, just a straight, especially new people coming in. It would be really good for them to, get all of that out of the way and kind of, you know, beat it to the punch. I have done, and also Chasing Justice, and a few other people have done interviews with Lisa on Aaron. And from my interview with Aaron, or Lisa on Aaron, I decided to take on, I wanted to hear as many cases that I can, questionable, missing, murdered, that come out of Tennessee, because after listening to Lisa and a few other families, it's a very real problem. And a lot of them, they need the support and they need the help. Um, Lisa, you've heard tonight that, she would love to get Aaron's body exhumed. As hard as that would be for her, it would be worth it for her. And the DNA, or the evidence that she needs tested. And, that's why we decided, we tried to do the fundraiser. It didn't work. So we took that link that we were going to use, and it's pinned to my PayPal and pinned to the top of my Facebook. That link is for them. 100% of the donations made through my page or my channel go to these families. They need so much right now, and I would like to build a community that comes and hears some of the things that they need to get done, and want to come together and kind of, help support them in their ways to get that done. Um, uh, you donate to that link. It is to every single family that I run on my page. We're going to let it sit for a while, and then, one day we're going to all come together, and I'm going to take what's in there and we're going to divide it evenly throughout all of them. And I would really like to let it sit for a little bit to accumulate something that would be just such a huge contribution to them. And they would appreciate it. And I would appreciate it. So yeah, if you're listening and you just feel it in your heart to, I only asked 99 cents, but this way you can donate so much more that you would love to donate. Yeah, so that's I want to build a community. I just don't want to run stories. I want to build a community of people that want to help these people. So just know when you click that link and you donate, that's what it's going for. Continue to ask the questions just because Lisa hops off and we hop off. She is in the comments. She is very, very good at answering questions. So don't let your questions stop here. Are you hopping back on? Okay, I seen her pop in. I was just making sure. There is just so much that needs to be done, and we very much encourage, and we want your support, even if it is just sharing awareness, getting it out there. Creators like Chasing Justice, and she has her Tiffany Marie friend, and AB, and Muddy Waters. We all should be working together to push not just Tennessee cases. I just happen to be taking on a bunch of them, but we need, just for any cases that come, and it should just be an open circle of communication. So that is all we have for you tonight. I'm Ash with TC's Spotlight. Lisa will be back. There will be very many upcoming families now that they are getting the courage to speak out. So go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so that way you know when they pop up and you can support them as well. Until next time, you guys stay safe out there, and you guys have a good night.